The fast-growing Occupy Wall Street movement that started in New York has come to Sydney. Up to 450 people came together outside Australia's central bank to support anti-capitalism protests happening around the world. Their message was human need, not corporate greed. Australian movement supporters say the democratic system is broken because the nation is ruled by the super wealthy who represent only 1% of the population.
I think it's important to show that we are part of a global movement of people who are dissatisfied with the bipartisan support in much of the West for corporate greed. And you've seen in the last 2 years, the last 10 years and many years before that, a sort of bipartisan consensus that says that both major parties should support uncontrolled growth. It's always framed as growth. Many people are missing out on that. Poor people, Indigenous people, immigrants. And what I think Occupy Sydney is trying to say in a variety of different ways is that we have dissatisfaction with that system and change that system or challenge that system at least. In America you've seen that working in some ways quite successfully, and it actually makes politicians, in theory at least, question how this system works and make them more alive to the reality that the separation between rich and poor has never been greater.
Members from the finance industry were also there to lend support.
And my message to people here is to maybe get an understanding of the workers in the branches of the banks and in the insurance companies who really genuinely want to help their customers and not try and sell to a sales target that's only going to go as a bonus to executives. We want a sustainable industry, one that takes care of the customers genuinely and builds stronger communities.
But while Australia's unemployment rate is half of that in the US and our economy among the strongest in the world, protesters still believe the movement is relevant here.
I think we do have the same sorts of problems. It might not be as severe as perhaps in the United States or whatever, but actually we do face similar problems of massive economic inequalities, of a political system that just is there to serve the 1% of the super rich. Just look at the way the major parties acting as basically servants of the banks and the mining companies and big business. So yeah, we need the same kind of transformation of our society here.
It's different. America has double the unemployment rate, that's true, but Australia's unemployment rate is officially 5%, but in many ways it's much higher. For young people it's much higher, Indigenous people it's much higher. And I think what a lot of people here are saying today in different ways is there are other issues. It's also refugees, it's about human rights, it's about an Australia which is not representative of the majority. And when you have a bipartisan arrangement where both parties pretty much agree with each other, it's basically a one-party system. It's like the corporate party and the corporate party's friend. That's how I think I see Australia. So yes, we're different to the States, but the issues are actually remarkably the same. And the financial crisis, which have hurt America more than here, that's true, the same issues are relevant. Neoliberal policies are being implemented in Australia, which actually benefit the few over the majority, and that sort of thing should be raised by the general public.
What happen here at the moment, we can look forward to a society like America if we don't stay vigilant. They're experiencing the complete destruction of the middle class in America, and it's because unions are being destroyed. People have been put on individual contracts. It's just a race to the bottom, offshoring of jobs. Our union is fighting to keep jobs in the finance industry.
But in Sydney, the concerns weren't just about social inequality. The event was used as a platform to rail against issues from palm oil, sex workers' rights to the privatisation of New South Wales ferries.
There's no right to work. They occupy our relationships, family, equal marriage. They occupy our entire democracy, and we are going to occupy you back.
And not everyone agreed on the same ideas. This man called for a socialist-style banking system.
Companies are owned by the 1%. That ownership has to be ended. The banks and major companies should be nationalised, put under workers' control, democratic control, as part of the fight for a workers' government.
But this man said capitalism wasn't the problem.
This may sound a little bit contrarian. I like capitalism. I like capitalism because I like to buy stuff. Everybody likes to buy stuff, but what we don't have at the moment is a free market capitalism where competition can rise. You need competition to be able to buy stuff. everybody needs to be able to work, okay?
Although no concrete changes have come about from the worldwide movement, some say it's only about raising awareness.
But yes, there's no direct long list of plans, which to me is not really a problem. This thing started organically a month or so ago in New York. It's growing globally, unbelievably fast. So my response is give it time, give it time. And the political system initially, and most of the corporate press, dismiss it as marginal, as fringe, as extremist. They always do that. But in the end, they'll have no choice but to listen because more and more people are taking on board the message.